Schroeder, look, you had to do a lot of work at the end of the fourth quarter just to get to that overtime. What were you seeing from Utah's defense as you got to the cup multiple times?
Just try to be aggressive, off pick and roll. LeBron does that normally, and I just try to, until he comes back, try to be aggressive, try to get to that cup, and if they're committing, try to find the weak side for open threes and open dunks, and I think it worked out well tonight.
Yeah, then you get to the overtime, Dennis, and you guys were getting stop after stop. Finally, I'm sure it was frustrating at some points of the game as Utah kept hitting threes. Where did you guys lock in on that side of the court?
I mean, first to get to that point, it was up 15. That can't happen, that they're tying up the game and going up 2 late in the fourth. But I think, in overtime especially, we got stops. We attacked down the lane, played with pace, shared the ball, and that was the key for the game.
And finally, it looked like you're starting to establish some chemistry there with Andre Drummond. You had the lob, of course, in overtime. What are you starting to learn about his game, Dennis, and where do you think that can take you guys moving forward?
I mean, he's a big key as well, man. Defensively, if he locks in, he can be an X factor for us as well. Offensively, he's putting so much pressure on the rim. When AD and LeBron comes back, it's going to be really, really scary, because he's putting so much pressure on the rim. So you got to take that as an advantage.
All right, Dennis, we appreciate it.
Thanks.
This game started in the first half with 19 lead changes, 10 times tied, that it would end in a back-to-back battle in overtime fashion. And make no mistake, the Jazz, no matter who's in lineup, Fish, we were just talking about it, they are going to play the game the right way. But I think what we continue to see with the Lakers, they will compete. They weathered a storm there in the fourth, and they will continue to prove that they have depth, big game, that can make a difference.
Yeah, I mean, it's a win's a win's a win. Both teams limited in their firepower, and you had guys who were out there playing hard. The Lakers, I personally don't think a 14-point lead is that big of a lead in this league, the way Utah shooting threes. So I wasn't surprised that they came back, but I was very impressed with the way the Lakers kept their composure, stayed in there, defended when they needed to defend, and they pulled it out in overtime.
Yeah, no, it's a quality win. Of course, as we were talking about, there will be things in every game that you can go back and watch and say, hey, we have to be better here. The three-point basket that Clarkson hit late in regulation,
film,
the communication, the film, those things, but the resilience by this group. When it's, again, easy to show up and say we don't have our guys, there's no pressure to have to win. They continue to show that night in and night out they are going to compete. They're going to stick with the habits and the fundamentals, principles that they work on daily and hold each other accountable to those things. And, another good win for this team without their main guys.
Big game, I'm glad you mentioned it, a 14-point lead. I think what we learned in the NBA is that no lead is large enough in this league, but especially with Utah, who shoots the three ball, 23 today, 15 times this season. They've hit at least 20 in a game. They're at a historic clip on that side of the floor behind the arc. We'll talk about that in just a moment. Let's go back to Staples Center. Dennis Schroeder is with Mike.
Make the right decisions, and now it's the time to do it.
I want to ask you about Alex Caruso. He's there's been a lot of games where he leads the team in plus minus, and he kind of makes the clutch defensive play. He, of course, hits the dagger three in this one. What have you observed from being his teammate these last couple weeks?
He's a hell of a player. Alex is a great player on both ends of the court. His plus minus numbers say it. I mean, there's not much more to say. When he's on the floor, great things happen. Love having him as a teammate. When we're on the floor together defensively, it's a scary thing.
And then, Andre, just summing up this trip, so many different guys out in various games. How did you guys kind of pull together, find a way to go 4-3 as you head home?
We're still learning. This is game 4 for me, like 4.5, I guess. This is 4.5 for me, so I'm still learning, still trying to figure it out. And, for a team that has so many people out right now and guys that are hurt, we're still finding ways to pull together and win. So it just shows the fight and grind that we have here.
Dave?
Andre, you had an offensive rebound off a KCP miss late in the game. Tried to kick it back out to the perimeter. It was a turnover. And when you guys went to the bench, the camera showed you kind of punched the chair, and Wes Matthews came over and kind of got in your ear and seemed to be trying to lift you up a little bit. What does that say about how you already made some bonds with guys on this team, and do you appreciate a teammate coming to kind of pep you up in that moment?
Yeah, that moment was a tough one for me because not only could I have went back up and shot it, I just try to make the right play, try to hit him with the dagger three. He looked open. I didn't see Daniels, peeking around the corner and turning the ball over. But, having my teammates come over and comfort me in that situation, not allowing me to keep my head down, to stay positive and, get it back on defense, which I did the next possession. I got that steal on Cody Zeller. Having guys like that in my ear is only going to project me to be a great player for this team.
Kyle
Boone.
I appreciate your enthusiasm. It's so early in your Lakers career, you haven't learned to be disappointed when I log on. So you obviously you guys win with some defensive plays down the stretch here. Where do you feel like you can make the most growth, sort of building chemistry offensively? And is it encouraging to win a game like this when, the offense isn't clicking like you guys know it can?
Yeah, like I said earlier, I'm still trying to figure it out too. I mean, offensively, it's probably just the worst I've played in my career. I'm still trying to figure it out here. I'm not allowing it to take me out of my game. I know why I'm here, which is to help this team defensively. Offensively, it'll come for me. And I think for us as a team, we're going to find a way to get it done when guys come back healthy. Because you got to think we're playing with a different five every night when we're stepping on the court. So you can't expect us to have much chemistry when you don't know who we're playing with each and every night. So, we're hanging our hat on defense and allowing that to protect us to a win.
Okay, last two. Dan?
Hey, Andre. I think you guys were up 7 or 8 when Frank called the timeout, and then that lead got cut to 1. And there wasn't a second timeout. He let you guys kind of figure it out on the court. How important is it for a coach to do that? I mean, you're still trying to learn him too. I guess, what does that say about his trust in you guys and how important it was for you guys to reward it?
That just shows his trust that he has in us as players and as a team to figure it out down the stretch of games without calling timeouts and, stopping the game. And I think we did a really good job of, pulling together defensively, get stops that we needed to win the game.
Okay, last question. Harrison?
Hey, Andre, kind of a random one for you, so bear with me here. But on the broadcast tonight, a couple times, they called you the Big Penguin. That's like one of your top nicknames on Basketball Reference. Lakers Twitter has really kind of glommed onto it. I was just wondering, do you know when that started, and do you like the nickname?
Listen, man, I don't know where that came from. Bron came up to me one day and said, yo, is your nickname Big Penguin? I said, man, I don't know where that came from or how it started or who came up with the name. All I know is somebody must have found out that penguins are one of my favorite animals, and they kind of just, I guess, put 2 and 2 together.
Are you good with it? Do you like the nickname? Are you happy with it? Or
I think I need a more aggressive name than Big Penguin. But for the kids, you can call me that. The kids can call me that.
No. All right. Well, thank you, Andre.
Thanks, man.